Imagine waking up one day to find your own car, the one you generously let your freeloading cousin use, listed for sale online. And then, when you confront him, your entire family blames you. This isn't just a story, it's the moment I realized some family ties are meant to be severed. My name's Jake, I'm 27, and I honestly never thought I'd be sharing something this personal. But after everything that's happened, I just need to get it out. This whole mess has been brewing for months, maybe even years, and now, after my own family turned on me, after what my cousin did, I have to tell it. I gave him everything, helped him when no one else would, and he repaid me in the worst way possible. It all really kicked off about a year ago. My cousin Matt, same age as me, showed up on my doorstep with this desperate sob story. We were so different. I'd spent my 20s grinding, saving, building a life I was genuinely proud of. He'd hopped from one job to another, always bailing when things got tough, always pointing the finger at someone else for his screw-ups. He was lazy, entitled, and man, could he manipulate. But he was family. That's what I kept telling myself when he turned up that night, shivering in the rain, claiming he had absolutely nowhere else to go. His last apartment had kicked him out for not paying rent. My aunt and uncle, his parents, swore they were done with him. He begged me, just a couple of months, he said, to get back on his feet. I hesitated. I knew Matt, you know? I knew exactly what he was like. But when I called my parents for advice, they didn't even think twice. You have to help him, Jake, my mom insisted. He's family. It's just temporary, my dad added. You've got a good job, you've got the space. What's the harm? So, like a total fool, I let him move in. At first, it wasn't terrible. He was grateful, almost overly grateful, actually. He kept going on about how lucky he was to have me, how he was really going to turn his life around this time. But within a week, his true colors started bleeding through. He didn't clean, he didn't cook, he didn't lift a finger. Instead, he just sat on my couch all day, watching TV or glued to video games. When I asked about getting a job, it was always an excuse. I've been applying, man, he'd sigh dramatically. It's just tough out there, you know? Weeks bled into months. Rent came and went, my rent, not his. He never even offered to chip in for groceries. Every single time I brought it up, he'd act like I was personally attacking him. I thought you understood, he'd say, shaking his head like I was the worst person on earth. You know what I've been through. And my parents? They took his side. Single. You need to be patient, my mom would say. He's trying. You're being too harsh, my dad would add. Not everyone has it as easy as you. Easy? Really? But the absolute worst part was the car. I had this old but super reliable Honda that I barely used since I worked remotely. Matt, of course, didn't have a car. He'd wrecked his last one years ago, and no one in the family would trust him with theirs. So, when he started whining about needing to get around, I let him borrow mine. Borrow. That was the key word. I never gave it to him. Never transferred the title. Never said, here it's yours. I just let him use it. And he used it. A lot. Too much, honestly. At first, it was for job interviews, he claimed. Then it was errands. Then he started driving it like it was his own personal Uber, out all the time, staying out late, leaving me stranded when I actually needed my own car. Dude, chill, he'd say whenever I brought it up. You barely use it. Why does it matter? And if I pushed back? You're being selfish. Somewhere along the way, he genuinely started acting like the car was his. He left his junk in it, changed the radio presets, even got this little goofy keychain for the fob. I should have seen the signs, I really should have. But I was still clinging to this stupid hope that he'd eventually get his act together. I was wrong. One night, I was out with friends when I got a text from my buddy, Chris. Hey man, it read, didn't you have an old Honda? Pretty sure I just saw it on Facebook Marketplace. I laughed, thinking he was joking. LOL what? I texted back. Not joking, dude. Same year, same color, looks just like yours. Listed under some guy named Mike. My stomach dropped. I excused myself from my friends and clicked the link Chris sent. And there it was. My car. Listed for sale. The photos showed it parked in a random driveway with a caption, "Runs great, need gone ASAP. Serious buyers only." The asking price? A measly couple thousand. My hands clenched into fists. No way. Absolutely no way this was real. I stared at the pictures, my brain racing, scrambling for any explanation. Maybe it was a coincidence? Maybe someone else had a car just like mine? But then I zoomed in on one of the pictures and I saw it. Hanging from the rearview mirror was that stupid keychain Matt had bought a few weeks ago. The same one he'd bragged about, saying it made the car feel more like his. A cold wave of pure, unadulterated anger crashed over me. I got up, left my friends mid-conversation, and headed straight home. I needed answers. And Matt was about to give them to me. I drove home, gripping the steering wheel so tightly my knuckles were white. My mind reeled through every possible explanation, but no matter how I tried to twist it, I kept landing on the same sickening conclusion: Matt had sold my car. My car. The one I'd lent him out of kindness, out of trust. The one that was still legally in my name. And he hadn't even bothered to tell me. He'd just taken it, listed it, and was probably planning to pocket the cash without a second thought. By the time I pulled into my driveway, my heart was pounding against my ribs. I stormed inside, not even bothering to slam the door. It wouldn't have mattered. Matt was sprawled out on the couch, feet propped on my coffee table, a bowl of chips balanced on his stomach. He barely even glanced at me when I walked in. "Yo," he mumbled, eyes glued to the TV. "You're home early." I didn't respond. I stalked over, yanked the remote out of his hand, and killed the TV. "Hey, what the? Where's my car, Matt?" His face twisted into this fake, exaggerated look of confusion, like a bad actor in a high school play. "What do you mean? It's outside, isn't it? Don't you dare lie to me." I stepped closer, my voice low, shaking with barely contained rage. "I saw it on Facebook Marketplace. You listed it for sale." He blinked. For half a second I saw it, the flicker of realization that he'd been caught. But just as quickly, he slipped back into his usual routine, that smug, dismissive attitude that had gotten him out of trouble so many times before. Whoa, chill, dude," he said, pushing himself up to sit. "You think I sold your car? That's insane." I held up my phone, the listing still open. "Then explain this." He squinted at the screen, rubbing the back of his neck like he was thinking real hard. "Weird. Guess someone else has a car just like yours." I laughed then, a bitter, humorless sound. "You expect me to believe that? The exact same car, same year, same model, same little keychain you bought last month." His face twitched, but he recovered quickly. "Look, man, I don't know what you want me to say. It's not my listing." I clenched my jaw so hard it hurt. "Then you won't mind if I message the seller and ask to come see it, will you?" For the first time, real panic flashed across his face. He opened his mouth, closed it, then forced out a laugh. "Hey, fine. Maybe I was thinking about selling it." You were thinking about it?" I repeated, my voice sharp. "Or was it already done?" He threw up his hands. "Why are you freaking out? You never even use that car. It just sits there." I figured, hey, why not get some cash for it? Maybe split it with you. "Split it?" I barked out another laugh. "Matt, it's not your car to sell." "Dude, come on," he scoffed. "I've been the one driving it. I put gas in it. I take care of it." "Taking care of it?" I cut him off. "You've been treating it like a free ride while I pay for the insurance. And that doesn't change the fact that my name is on the title. Legally, you can't sell it." He rolled his eyes and flopped back onto the couch. "Geez, man, you're making such a big deal out of this. It's just a car. You can get another one. I clenched my fists at my sides, forcing myself to take a breath. I had spent months putting up with Matt's laziness, his entitlement, his complete lack of respect for me, my home, my kindness. But this was different. This was theft. And worse, he wasn't even sorry. He wasn't even trying to make it right. Did you already sell it? I demanded. He hesitated. That was all the confirmation I needed. My stomach twisted as I realized what this meant. If he had already taken the money, the car was gone. And since it was still in my name, whoever bought it might come knocking on my door when they realized they'd been scammed. My mind reeled at the legal nightmare this could turn into. I needed answers, and I needed them now. Who did you sell it to? I asked through gritted teeth. I don't know, he muttered, suddenly very interested in a loose thread on his shirt. I grabbed the back of the couch and leaned down, forcing him to look at me. Who did you sell it to? He sighed dramatically, like I was the one being unreasonable. Some guy named Mike. He gave me cash. No questions asked. How much? His eyes flicked away. Like $2,000. I swore under my breath. $2,000? That car was worth at least $5,000. He hadn't just stolen from me, he'd practically given it away. I took a step back, breathing heavily, trying to keep myself from doing something I'd regret. Where's the money, Matt? At that, his whole posture shifted. He sat up straighter, arms crossing over his chest. Why do you care? Because that money isn't yours. Oh, come on, he groaned. What's the big deal? You weren't even using the car, and I needed the cash. You don't understand what it's like to struggle, man. You have a job, savings, a place to live. A place you've been living in for free. I snapped. And now you have the nerve to act like I owe you? He scoffed, shaking his head. Dude, it's not like I took your life savings. It's just a car. You can get another one. I stared at him, my anger mixing with something else, something colder. This wasn't just about the car anymore. It was about him. About how he saw me. How he had always seen me. Not as family, not as someone who had helped him, but as someone to use. And then, as if this couldn't get worse, my phone buzzed. I glanced down at the screen and saw a text from my mom. Mom texted, Matt just told us you're overreacting about the car. You need to calm down. I swallowed back a bitter laugh. Of course. Of course, he had already run to them, spinning some sob story about how I was being unreasonable or selfish. And of course, they had believed him. Matt leaned back against the couch, smirking. Guess you're not getting any backup on this one, huh? Something in me snapped. I had spent months, years, letting this slide. Letting him walk all over me. Letting my family gaslight me into thinking I was the problem. Not anymore. I took a deep breath, my mind sharpening with a clarity I hadn't felt in a long time. No, I said, my voice calm, but I don't need backup. Matt frowned, sitting up slightly. What's that supposed to mean? I didn't answer. I had just made a decision. I was going to fix this, and Matt wasn't going to like how. I didn't say another word to Matt. I just turned on my heel and walked straight to my room, slamming the door behind me. My heart was pounding so hard I could feel it in my ears. This wasn't just some stupid argument anymore. He had committed theft, plain and simple. And worse, my family had already taken his side, acting like I was the one being unreasonable. But I wasn't about to let this slide. Not this time. I grabbed my phone and did a quick search. What to do if someone sells a car in your name? The results were exactly what I expected. Since the car was still legally mine, Matt had zero right to sell it. That meant whoever had bought it had technically been scammed. And that meant I had every right to go after him, legally. Without hesitating, I dialed the non-emergency police number and waited as the line rang. Local police department, what's your emergency? I need to report a stolen vehicle, I said, forcing my voice to stay calm. My cousin sold my car without my permission. It's still in my name and I just found out about it. The dispatcher asked me a few questions. What kind of car, when it was sold, who had bought it? I gave them everything I knew, the make, the model, the year, even the details of the guy Matt had mentioned. After a pause, the dispatcher said, "Sir, since the car is legally in your name, this is considered fraud and theft. We'll send an officer to your address." I hung up, exhaling slowly. My hands were still shaking. Not from fear, but from a cold, righteous rage. I stepped out of my room and found Matt still lounging on the couch, scrolling through his phone like nothing had happened. He didn't even look up. "Hey, just so you know," I said, my voice deceptively casual, "I called the cops." That got his attention. His head snapped up, eyes wide. "Wait, what? You heard me. The police are on their way. Since you sold the car that's legally mine, it's theft." His phone slipped from his hands and landed on the floor with a dull thud. "Dude, are you serious? You called the cops on me?" He shot to his feet, his face turning red. "Are you insane? What is wrong with you?" I folded my arms. "What's wrong with me? You stole my car. You sold it. You lied about it. And now you're acting shocked that there are consequences." His mouth opened and closed, but nothing came out. For the first time since this all started, I saw something in his expression I hadn't seen before: fear. Then, right on cue, we both heard the unmistakable sound of a car pulling up outside. I walked to the window and peeked through the blinds. A black and white police cruiser had just stopped in my driveway. 2 uniformed officers stepped out. Matt took a step back, his face draining of color. "Dude, just tell them it was a misunderstanding, okay? We can figure this out without the cops." I turned to face him, my expression cold. "Should have thought about that before you stole from me." Before he could say another word, there was a knock at the door. I opened it. "Are you the one who called?" one of the officers asked. "Yeah," I said. "Come in." The officers stepped inside, their gazes flicking between me and Matt. One of them, a middle-aged guy with a thick mustache, pulled out a notepad. "You reported that your car was sold without your permission?" I nodded. "Yeah. It's still legally mine. He had no right to sell it." Matt let out a nervous laugh. "Guys, come on, this is just a family thing. No need to get the law involved, right?" The second officer, a younger woman with sharp eyes, glanced at me. "Who has the money from the sale?" I didn't hesitate. "He does." Both officers turned to Matt. He raised his hands in surrender. Okay, I have it, all right? I needed the cash, and I thought he'd be fine with it." "It doesn't matter," the mustached officer said flatly. "Since the car is in his name, selling it without permission is illegal. That money doesn't belong to you." Matt looked at me, desperate. "Come on, man, do you really want to do this?" I crossed my arms. "Give me the money." He hesitated, then let out a long sigh before trudging to his room. A few moments later, he came back with a wad of cash. He practically threw it at me. Happy. I ignored him and counted it. $2,000, just like he said. I turned back to the officers. "Now I just need to get my car back." The younger officer nodded. "Since you know who bought it, we can go with you. If the buyer refuses to return it, you may need to take civil action. But since the sale was fraudulent, there's a good chance he'll cooperate." I grabbed my keys. "Let's go." Matt flopped back onto the couch, arms crossed, looking like a sulking child. "This is such bull." I cut him off with a glare. "You better be here when I get back." The drive to Mike's house was tense. I followed the police car, the recovered money sitting on my passenger seat. When we finally pulled up to the address Matt had given me, I saw it. My car, parked in the driveway. Mike answered the door after a few knocks. He was a stocky guy in his mid-30s, looking confused when he saw the cops. Can I help you?" The mustached officer got straight to the point. "Sir, we're here about the car you recently purchased." Mike's face shifted. "Oh, man, is this about the kid who sold it to me?" Yeah, I had a weird feeling about that. He was real eager to get rid of it. I stepped forward. "That car is still in my name. He had no right to sell it." Mike looked at the officers. "So, what happens now?" The younger cop spoke. "Since the sale wasn't legal, you have two options. You can either return the vehicle and get your money back, or you can keep the car and risk a civil lawsuit from the legal owner." Mike sighed. "Look, I don't want any trouble. If I get my money back, you can take the car." I handed over the cash, and just like that, my car was mine again. When I got back home, Matt was still on the couch, watching TV like nothing had happened. I walked in, tossed my keys on the table, and took a deep breath. "You're moving out." Matt blinked. "Wait, what?" "You heard me. You lied to me, you stole from me, and then you tried to make me look like the bad guy. I'm done. Get out." He laughed, but it was weak. "Dude, come on, where am I supposed to go?" "Not my problem," I said. "You had a free ride here and you messed it up." I turned to walk away, but he shot up from the couch. "You can't just kick me out." I turned back, my gaze cold. "Watch me." And with that, I grabbed my phone and started dialing my landlord. If Matt wasn't gone by morning, I'd make sure he was legally removed. This time, there were no second chances. The next morning, I woke up to the sound of drawers slamming and heavy footsteps thudding across the apartment. For a second, I thought I was dreaming. Then I heard a string of muttered curses, followed by the unmistakable sound of a zipper being yanked shut. I threw off my blanket, rubbed the sleep from my eyes, and walked out into the living room. There was Matt, shoving his clothes into a duffel bag with the kind of aggression that made it clear he was not handling this well. He was all tense shoulders and angry movements, yanking his hoodie over his head like he wanted to strangle it. "You happy now?" he muttered, barely looking at me as he zipped up his bag. "Kicking your own family out over a stupid car." I folded my arms, leaning against the doorway. "It wasn't just about the car, Matt." My voice was level, but there was an edge to it. "It was about everything. You lying to my face. You selling something that wasn't yours. You treating me like a free ride instead of a cousin." Matt let out a bitter, humorless laugh. "Yeah, because you never needed help, right?" He finally turned to face me, his eyes sharp and full of resentment. "You think you're better than me, huh? Just because you got your life together and I don't." I stared at him for a long moment, then shook my head. "This isn't about me being better than you. It's about me being done with you taking advantage of me." He scoffed. "Taking advantage? You offered to help me. I didn't ask you to let me stay here, you said I could. I didn't beg you to help with my loans, you said you'd cover them. But the second it's not convenient for you anymore, you throw me out." He gestured wildly. "You don't just do that to family." I clenched my jaw, forcing myself to stay calm. "Matt, there's a difference between helping someone and being used. I let you live here rent-free because I thought you needed time to get back on your feet. I paid off your loans because I thought it would help you start fresh. But instead of making the most of it, you just took more. And when you ran out of things to take, you stole from me." He scowled, gripping the strap of his bag so tightly his knuckles went white. "I didn't steal from you. You sold something that wasn't yours and lied about it," I shot back. "What else would you call that?" His mouth pressed into a thin line. He didn't have an answer to that. Instead, he let out a frustrated breath, adjusted the strap of his duffel bag, and marched toward the door. He yanked it open but hesitated, just for a second, like he was waiting for me to stop him. But I didn't. I just stood there, watching as he stepped out into the hallway. He turned back one last time, his expression unreadable. "You're going to regret this," he muttered. Then he shook his head and walked away. I shut the door behind him, locked it, and exhaled. And for the first time in years, I felt free. Of course, that peace didn't last long. Barely an hour later, my phone started blowing up. First, it was my aunt, Matt's mom, demanding to know why I had abandoned him. Then my parents, asking why I was being so heartless. Even my uncle, who I hadn't spoken to in months, called just to tell me I should have been more forgiving. "You don't do that to family," they all kept saying. "Matt made a mistake, but that doesn't mean you throw him out into the street." Oh, but apparently, stealing from family was fine. I tried to explain I really did. I told them about the lies, the manipulation, how Matt had sold my car behind my back and kept the money. But it was like talking to a brick wall. "He probably just needed the cash," my aunt said. "He's going through a rough time," my mom added. "Can't you just let it go?" Let it go? I had already given Matt everything. A place to live, a way to clear his debt, even a car, which, sure, I never outright gave him, but I let him use it as if it was his. And after all that, he still had the nerve to lie to my face and sell it for quick cash. And yet, somehow, I was the bad guy. "You're being selfish," my aunt snapped at one point. "He's your cousin. He needed you, and you just kicked him to the curb." I let out a humorless laugh. "Selfish?" I repeated. "I let him stay rent-free for over a year. I paid off his loans. I let him use my car. And you think I'm the selfish one?" Silence. Then a scoff. "You're just like the rest of them," she muttered. "Turning your back on family." "Funny," I said. "That's exactly what Matt did to me." She hung up after that. By the time the call stopped, I felt drained. I knew my family wasn't going to side with me. I'd seen it happen before, over and over. But a small part of me had hoped that just this once, they'd understand. That maybe they'd realize I wasn't in the wrong. But no. Matt played the victim, and they ate it up. It wasn't fair, but honestly, I didn't care anymore. I had my car back, my home back, and most importantly, my peace back. Matt was finally out of my life, and no amount of guilt-tripping from my family was going to change that. I learned the hard way that sometimes protecting yourself means cutting ties, even if those ties are family.